Eggy.
Well, we've started talking. We're live, so
I know
we're here.
Can we
I've done this before.
Can we call you Justin Eggy?
Sure, that's flattering. It's a compliment.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of Always Almost There, Day After Show Live. Kev made it to Phoenix, everybody. He survived Vegas. He's out of state. He's on tour. We've got Tur Kev, and of course, very good friend of the pod and host of the most amazing Eggy podcast you can listen to out there, Vice or Virtue, Mr. Justin Bruce. Hi, Justin.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
It's your annual Day After Show guest spot. Every time they play in Vegas, you are contractually obligated as our friend to come on the pod.
Happy to represent. Still consider ourselves lucky here. The few Vegas jam band folks to get hometown Goose shows. Don't know how long it's going to continue, but we're digging it while it lasts.
Hey, man, where were you with the weather forecast yesterday with all the hail and the rain?
I predicted some scattered thunderstorms on my shift yesterday morning from 3 a.m. to noon, and then I locked out and got into Goose mode. So that happened on someone else's shift, but a little overperforming thunder shower activity yesterday in Vegas with hail and heavy rain and lightning.
There we go.
A sight to behold.
A sight to behold.
I mean, good news. When you're in Vegas, you don't have to be outside ever, except to travel between places. So thunderstorms, hail, no big deal. You have Goose. Exactly. Hours of Goose, in fact.
Exactly. We have a lot of Goose to talk about last night. Shout out to venues without a curfew, and shout out to when the band plays like this. I think the last two Vegas shows were a little interesting. We talked about this on the pod yesterday. We talked about this on the pod on Monday about with the the Vegas impersonator and the kind of like some weird stuff. But last night they just fucking threw down.
Zero Elvis. Thank
Zero
God.
Elvis. We did it, guys.
I think one tasteful flamingo themed wardrobe choice in the band, and that was all the Vegas that we needed, which was welcome.
No choker last night. The choker's gone. That was just a Boise thing. When you're playing in the yard of a prison in Boise, you wear a choker. That's it. But let's hear from our boots on the ground here. Let's start with you, Kev. Last night was your first non-Goose miss out-of-state Goose show since Pine Creek. How are you feeling pre-show and getting to the venue?
Did you just fucking run my stats?
I did. I've been running them for a while.
Here we are.
So the question was, how was the show?
Well, no, your pre-show vibe, getting to Vegas, getting to the venue. How are you feeling?
Oh man, it was awesome. Like I'm gonna, a friend of the pod over here, vibing haps over there.
Intern
extraordinaire.
Yes.
When we hooked up yesterday morning, like the vibes, it was just a continuation of what haps had going on in the Pacific Northwest. Just a blast.
Yeah, I love it. Justin, how about you?
Which is why we were all scared that I might not make it today.
Right, that's reasonable. Justin, how are you feeling pre-show, and whereabouts did you end up for last night?
Felt great. The aforementioned 3 a.m. to noon work shift complemented the late night vibes nicely. I got a nap in, dropped the kids off at the grandparents' house. Actually made a dinner date / Goose concert out of the affair with my wife Jamie, so had a lovely meal in the Arts District, and then got to the venue maybe around like 7:15 and sidled in with our buddy the John Mayer and his wife Lisa, who were holding down a great spot just kind of off to the side in front of Cotter on that little elevated bar area. So perfect. Can't complain about just swooping into a perfect spot.
Nice.
Huge friend of the pod, the John Mayer, not that John Mayer, to be clear. Not that John Mayer, the John Mayer.
Yes, thank you.
The best.
Kev, where did you end up for the show last night?
So we were, for the most part, just behind the soundboard, which is a great place for me. Most of you folks that have met me before know I'm kind of tall, so I try to take that into account and not move myself real close up front and end up obstructing a bunch of people's views. So try to stand in the back, but also not give any sort of sound quality up at the same time.
Nice. Hashtag considerate Kev.
Right there. Try to be considerate. Try to be considerate. Yeah.
Very important. Very important.
Yep.
Well, without further ado, let's get into the show because we have a lot to talk about. Foot to the floor immediately, opening 1-2-3 punch of Salt, Iguana Song, and Whip It. Kev, let's start with you. How did you feel about these three?
I thought the show opened with a great amount of energy. Was exactly what we, getting into the show, waiting for Goose to start playing. It was exactly what we were looking for. I'm not making any sort of pejorative judgments on Whip It, but I did use it as an opportunity to, to Seekers won that thing, run to the bathroom real quick, early first set P.
Nice. Justin, what about you? These first three tunes of the first set.
It was a very energetic start. I feel like Goose has been doing a lot of this minor key, kind of fast groove, deep jamming, and somehow they made that come to fruition in about 12 minutes. So got off to a jammy, kind of sizzling beginning, some tension building in Salt. Iguana Song, kind of much of the same. 2-guitar Goose, like digging it. Of course, when you're at the show in the moment, even if you're just vibing off the 2 cups of coffee you had at dinner, you're like, how long is this? Has it been 17 minutes, 18 minutes? And, no, 12 and 13 respectively. I liked Rick's throaty harmonics in Iguana Song, like around 9 minutes, like kind of texturally felt like he was doing something a little different. And then the segue into Whip It, I had no idea. I don't know everything that you guys know. I was like, what are they going to go into?
Yeah.
And then when they went into Whip It, it really stirred the crowd up into a frenzy. So it took the energy, which was high, and just kind of kicked it up another notch.
Yeah. Justin, I love having you on the pod because of saying things like throaty harmonics. Nobody else
9-minute mark.
No, but you have the best way to describe things. And if anyone wants to hear more phrasing like throaty harmonics, go check out the Eggy Jam charts over on thecarton.net. I love this start to the show. I mean, Salt is literally, as we've seen, can go anywhere in the show and be amazing.
And it's an instant shot of energy. Like it was an instant shot of energy for the crowd.
Yes, and they have this propulsion behind the jam that they kind of come back to in Dustin later in the show, like similar kind of space. But I love that Iguana. Now third live performance. Just keeps getting better every time. This one was like kind of pushing at the boundaries a little bit. Pretty lengthy last section where they brought it way down, and then Whip It's just fun.
Whip It is fun. Devo rules. I don't care what anybody says. It's excellent music, and I like it when they throw it into a set because it just takes a hard turn no matter what, because stylistically it's so much different than everything that they do. But everybody knows the song. It does exactly what like a little cover should do for like a bar band. And Goose was in bar band mode last night, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. There was fun and playfulness throughout this whole thing while still being true to who they are. And I think that starts with Salt. There are a couple jams in this show that are both short and excellent and get to excellent spaces quickly. I think this Salt does that. Like Justin said, it's hard to perceive how much time has passed by the time the Salt has ended, because they go to so many different spaces in such a short period of time. I was hearing just straight 1994 Fish vibes again, but not in the Westville Rockdale way, just in phrasing. And it felt like Rick was channeling kind of those Trey vibes. Just getting a lot of Trey out of Rick last night. And that's okay. That is good stuff when he does that. And so I really enjoyed what the Salt did. Iguana Song said this last pod. It's one of those songs that jam bands have, and I don't know how to describe why they get to this space, but they don't jam much. But whenever they appear in a set list, they enhance the show. So you would think counterintuitively, like there's no jamming in the song, therefore, or there's very little jamming in the song, therefore, it's a good one, not a good one, we can skip it. This one enhances every set it's in so far, in my opinion. I love it. And it's not just because it's new. The song is just dope. And like Justin said, 2-guitar Goose is always worth listening to.
Yes.
Really
always.
Excellent way to start this show, and establishes a vibe that they carry throughout the whole entire show.
Iguana and the 2-hole. It's the new Doc Brown and the 2-hole.
It's the new Doc Brown, man. Absolutely.
This is the second one in this tour that we've had, leading to something really cool. And I think your point on them covering so much improvisational ground in that Salt is interesting, because I think it's those very high speed spaces are where they're feeling most like exploratory at the moment, I think. anytime they're really going forward like that, we'll talk about the jive lead that we get to later, and that place in the Dustin. And we keep talking about, Cotter hits that double time in a jam, and you're getting there. And I think that has always been a more unknown territory for them. I think you have high speed jams, but it was usually like a big Rick peak. And so I think recently with these faster spaces it's, not a high speed, like, Creatures type of thing where it's like high energy and fast, but it's a disco vibe. So I think this is a new thing that's really been coming forward in these, propulsive and faster jams that they want to do stuff with.
Which is why it evokes mid-90s Fish to me, because I think that is emblematic of mid-90s Fish. But
there you go.
And
all
I
right.
think
yes.
real quick, I think Ryan, what you're highlighting in Cotter is his ability to, like, I think level the band up in a sense of being able to slow down and speed up. Mm-hmm. The whole band's playing, not just his playing, but to be able to be almost like that timekeeper 100%. And speeding up and slowing down. And maybe that was maybe a 1 year thing before.
Yeah, and as people have mentioned in the chat, that's 2 iguanas in a row where Rick's messed up the lyrics. Not super surprising given Rick's propensity to mess up the lyrics a lot, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, Bobby passed him the lyric flub torch. Thank you for that. Yeah. Next up, we kind of get a little breather after the very high intensity of the first 3 songs with Your Ocean, then Draconian Meter Maid, Old Man's Boat, Atlas Dogs, and then we'll save the. Let's just go these next 3 here, actually. Your Ocean, Draconian Meter Maid, Old Man's Boat. Let's throw it to you, Justin. What do you think of middle of the first step?
I honestly think you could talk about the 4 of them, even though I know that's not your preferred format, but just because vibe-wise, like I thought that Your Ocean flowed, and then Draconian Meter Maid, the song itself is kind of herky-jerky and energetic and has like a pop to it, but then you get into this big peaceful Trevor jam or Trevor led jam that I felt like followed up Your Ocean just kind of like thematically pretty darn well. And the fade into Old Man's Boat, same idea. Everyone kind of gets their turn in the piece there. Get a little Peter action, little Trevor action, little Rick action. But I thought that like 8 minutes into Old Man's Boat, they get back into that groove, like what you guys are kind of talking about, that higher speed, kind of faster, like, all right, we're just going to cook over whatever Cotter is doing. And that seems to be the space that they really want to live in. And that faded into Atlas Dogs. So really a smooth 4-song stretch, and like energy wise, it was in a great place, but still doing some things. And the Draconian Meter Maid, like just the song structure, as I mentioned, kind of was a little pop of energy.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, again, another Meter Maid with just a gorgeous bliss jam. Like it's just like, it's there. You're getting 10 to 13 minutes of just beautiful music every time they're playing this song now. And I love it. Kev, what do you think of this midpoint of the set?
Yeah, just to kind of continue on with what Justin was saying, I would like to throw it back to you guys. Maybe what did you think watching at home when they started playing Old Man's Boat?
Watching at home. Well, Ryan's got an actual opinion. I am of the belief that Old Man's Boat didn't happen because that track wasn't on Nugs this morning.
Well, it's there now.
Is it there now? I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it. So full disclosure, I've not heard last night's Old Man's Boat. Therefore, it's probably the best version ever. I get to believe, at least for now, it's the greatest version of Old Man's Boat ever played. Yeah.
Right. It's the, what's the shit? I forget, the cat.
The cat.
Or like that thing where it's like, if you open the box.
Schrodinger's cat or whatever.
Yeah. Schrodinger's cat. Thank you.
The best and worst version of
Schrodinger's
Old
Man's
Boat.
Boat.
Yeah.
Schrodinger's
both the best and worst.
That's what we're doing.
I was just curious because I was thinking about it in terms of being in the moment and thinking, wow, that's sort of an odd song choice where they were in the set. But then, like, once they got past the chorus and they started playing, I was like, okay, all is forgiven. You know what I mean?
As happens when they play Old Man's Boat, right? I think that is kind of the knock. And if you kind of think about energy of this set, it's really easy to look at this and say on paper, this is bad. So you get Your Ocean. It is an incredibly slow song. it really can. And I've said this before, it's a dangerous song, especially if you're going to put it in the dead center of a first set. It can really let the air out of the tires, especially after you play a song like Whip It. Like you've got people going, and then Your Ocean brings it all the way down. And then you kind of bring it to a very weird herky-jerky space with Draconian Meter Maid, the song, then Bliss segment, and then you slow it down again to Old Man's Boat. And so you would think that would all kind of flow poorly, but it sounds like, again, I haven't heard the Old Man's Boat, but the 2000 or the 2021 jam that falls off the back half of Old Man's Boat is exactly what folks needed in that moment.
I think you get a similar vibe to like the Boise first set, where like the band is playing so well and has so much intention and energy behind what they're doing that it doesn't really matter if the song selection is weird. Like this is a weird show on paper. Like you look at this and like, seeing the mid set two, jive Lee, and like the way that this first set reads is like, it's weird, but it's amazing.
Well,
and again, they're trying new things.
Every approach to Colorado, right? I think it's important to name about this show and tonight's show. It's just like every show as they come up to Colorado, weird things happen because they are very intentional about what they play in Colorado. So every set list is made with those two shows in mind.
Are you suggesting that they're not intentional about what they play everywhere, Neil?
They are not nearly as intentional anywhere else
about
what they play, except for 3 shows before they play in Colorado.
There's
like
no
MSG,
no such thing as a Colorado bias. Come on,
there absolutely is. When they lead up to the MSG show, they won't do nearly as much stacking as they do for Colorado, and I think it's just because, in my opinion, hot take, because there's just, I don't know, that the Colorado is just so insular, right? Like all the things that have happened there are all connected. Whereas like it just feels more wide open when they get into the Northeast. So they say like, hey, we played this at SPAC, we played this, at Forest Hills. Like it's all the same to us. Like, let's just go out and play. Whereas when they're going to play Colorado, they really want to play a unique show.
Yeah. I love Colorado too, Neil.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the main event of this first set here. Atlas Dogs, Big Modern. I would like to pat myself on the back here. During Atlas Dogs, I skeeted. Like this feels like they're setting up to go into like a jam vehicle, like Big Modern or something like that, right off the jump, and they did. So go me. But it felt like we were at the point in the set where they weren't going to jam the Atlas Dogs, and it was like, we're going to use it as the launch pad into whatever is going to be the set closer. It could have been any number of jam vehicles. Very happy that it was Big Modern, as a fan of amazing Big Moderns like this one. And another thing, like, the Big Modern jam is just getting going, and we're 80 minutes into the set, and we don't need to be worried about having a 55-minute set too because of it. So
yeah,
hell yeah. But let's throw it to you guys. You were there. Justin, this was your first Big Modern. Kev, you saw it at Kuzma's. What were your thoughts on this jam?
It was great, honestly. They're kind of in the same sonic universe for a long time, right? Like from 8 minutes to like 21 minutes, they're just plowing away. But especially in person, when everything is a little more vibrant, Trevor's a little louder, like you just hear everything a little more clearly than when you've got an earbud in and you're working and catching up on last night's show. Like, what a fantastic, 12, 13 minutes of improv. And they really had the crowd, I think enraptured. And for a partying out of town Vegas crowd, I love that they took it in the more serious direction and that they're comfortable to do that. Paid dividends. It was, I think, super interesting. Never lost my attention for those 12 or 13 minutes. And then at the end, they get a little weird as they get back into Big Modern, like those Peter Siren keys.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, get weird, guys. So yeah, fantastic. Really, really big fan. Felt about 20, 25 minutes long. I did not realize how long set 1 was in the moment last night till I saw after. I was like, whoa, a big, hour and a half set practically?
Yeah.
Just about.
Pretty much. They're taking advantage after 3 consecutive shows of the, very early, 6:30 showtime, 10 p.m. curfew, taking advantage of, no worries. Kev, sorry. Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for, I think it's a couple times now, Justin, that you mentioned like, hey, wait a minute, like, are they still, it's been 20 minutes, is it still that same jam? I think they made it real easy. I think 3 or 4 times that happened to me yesterday where I was like, wait a minute. And to see the number of songs that they played in total between the first and the second set, I was sort of blown away that I didn't remember like every individual song, because there were so many moments where I was like, holy shit, they're jamming the shit out of whatever that is. The Big Modern, I really love like edgy Goose, like anytime they embrace that little metal edge that they have. So I'll always take a BM anytime I can. You know what I mean?
Kev loves a good BM.
That's up
Yeah.
healthy.
Neil, you want to talk about this before I talk about it for several minutes?
No, I actually am going to let you do that because I've done
really?
a lot of talking already. But I do want
Wow.
to say one kind of observation
Yeah.
of this set, because you pointed it out. I mean, the best Goose shows are when, in fact, they can squeeze out 90 minutes out of each set or come close to doing that and then have an encore. That it's like this magic moment at about 3 hours. When it's a 3-hour show, it somehow vastly improves the quality of the show.
Yeah.
And so you got one of those last night, and it makes the show, I don't know, feel more complete or at least better.
Yeah, and shout out to friend of the pod and our resident in-house, or he's actually our in-house counsel and stats man, Adam, and who has compiled the the timings, and just looking at last night's total music time versus the last 3 shows. Bend, Spokane, and Boise were all within 5 minutes or so of 2.5 hours, and last night was 3 hours. So there's a full 30 minutes more music last night because of the lack of hard curfew. And
never miss a Vegas show.
Never miss a Vegas show, I guess. Or just really just look at the venues and go to every single show that has no curfew.
No curfew.
This Big Modern, as you mentioned, Justin, it kind of does one thing. And I think that's what they're doing with Big Modern right now, where each version is kind of, they start the jam, they kind of find an idea, and that's what they work on. You're not really getting like multi-section Big Moderns right now. And I think that this one is the best version of 2025 so far. Very hasty, of course. I've listened to it several times today. And I love the way that they're playing together. There's a lot of playing together. And I think this is a vehicle for them right now that they are really trying to kind of push the envelope on, rather than just, and get to a peak without it just being like a Rick peak. And I think that's the motif that we've kind of seen them exploring a lot so far this tour, like this kind of, or this year, really, it's popped up a lot, which is this.
That's the Boise Rosewood, right?
Yeah, different. That one's more in like the aggressive funk zone. But
to your point, where they're all like,
yes, playing together, and I guess the peak of the Boise Rosewood is that different kind of peak jam, and I think that's a lot of it is due to Rick playing so much rhythm. He's playing so much rhythm. And different than, I would say, different than like the Vivel Gonzo Big Modern type of rhythm, where he's like just holding back for a while and then plays lead. Like here, he's using the rhythm at the forefront of the jam. And also, again, as we've talked about, like Trevor, this tour, it's insane what this man is doing on stage. And his best jam of the night, I think, is in the second set. But this Big Modern is fantastic, and I've realized that I'm having a hard time slotting jams into my playlist right now. Like it's not. I feel like in past years it's been pretty cut and dry. They play a jam and I'm like, oh yeah, that one fits in between that one, and then maybe there's some movement later. But like this one, I look at my list and I'm like, where does this even fit? Even in all the other Big Moderns, like I think it's number 1 right now, but then I look at what's surrounded on the list and I'm like, I don't even know. So it's just really cool to hear that. Yeah,
I do think that as they sit in these spaces for longer periods and explore kind of as a team, because this is really 4-person democratic jamming over a groove for a long period of time, like it becomes more a matter of personal taste, and like the quality of some of these jams is going to naturally kind of clump together to where it will be like, oh, okay, there's these 5, and then below them there's and it will just become like, oh, I kind of like this one more because of whatever personal taste reason, as opposed to discrete sections where moving from this to that to this to that, and you can say like, oh no, this was more impressive. But
there we go.
I am not going to crack open the Pandora's box that is talking about jam playlists right now, because I disagree with some of your points. I agree with a lot of your points.
And you think I have way too many songs on my playlist? I know.
Yeah, too many big moderns, but we should talk about that too, or vibes.
Do I have every big modern from 2025 on my playlist?
Probably,
maybe.
And after making fun of Jive for having a big modern on his playlist.
No. I made fun of the placement, not having it there.
This is Pandora's box.
We can all right. Let's move on to set two. Into the Mist starts. Immediately, it's like, are they going to troll Jive Goose by finishing Mist right before Fiddlers? No, they are not. This is also the only repeat from the last Vegas show. Interesting to note. Surprised to see it pop up. Neil was right.
Would you say that they never repeat songs in
almost
cities?
Almost never.
Okay.
Almost never.
Okay.
But there, this was one that Neil, I think it was you who had it on your picks yesterday.
No, it wasn't. I didn't pick it. I actually followed your advice. It screwed me. But
well, that's on you. Yeah, Garrett, thank you for reminding me. Also, this second set was not scripted. They had an ideas list, and which started with Miss Dustin, which wonder whether that was a typo or they had plans to do a little weaving. But I like this approach. This set is awesome. And I think that's a result of, fuck it, let's just pick a song on the fly, rather than having it scripted and, planning out the narrative arc beforehand. So I hope that we see this more. They were probably like, we're in Vegas, there's no curfew. Let's just, throw some things at the wall and see what happens. Let's throw it to you, Kev, first. This Mist Dustin combo. Excellent 1-2 punch.
So real quick, you're saying that there was a set list, or there was like a loosely constructed set list for set 2. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So here's what Garrett said. So they wrote out set 1, in order, and then set 2 said ideas list and just had a bunch of songs. And
I
they
fucking love that.
Pulled from both. Set 1 had some changes, and the ideas list, yeah.
And I love that. And before like getting into talking about the the 2 songs, the Mist that opened that set up, I would like to say that it has to be super challenging for a band to be like, all right, let's go out there for the second set with an ideas list and see what happens. Like, that has to be like unnerving at the same time that we're all like, oh wow, that that was a really good second set. Yeah. So to your point, Ryan, I hope they continue to do stuff like that and just say, hey, let's go out with a vibe and see what happens for that whole set. I thought between the Mist and the Iguana song, it was especially the Mist was Dustin was the energy that we needed to open up that second set and get us going again.
Mm-hmm. Justin, your thoughts here?
I feel like I keep saying the same thing, but I think like baked into Mist and its structure, like you've got that fast layered groove, like that's kind of what they've been into jamming wise in other spaces. So that was a cool realization. I thought the segue from Mist into Dustin Hoffman, how it was like rhythmic and just a team approach was like, whew, very impressive. And Dustin was great. Felt like this jam actually had a few distinct parts. Like you have that chill cinematic groove, and then Peter kind of brightens it up with his keys, which was like a sonically a little change up from what we had heard so far. So that was nice. Rick gets peaky, but it's organic. He's kind of earned it. It's within the context of everyone working together, around 14 or 15 minutes. So that was kind of nice too. And then that last section felt like they didn't know what they were going to do. Like, but in a very complimentary way, like truly type 2, like, but they were doing it all together and like listening really well. So it was exciting. Didn't know what we were going to go into, but it was fun.
Yeah, that part to me, that last segment is some of the best improv of the tour so far, easily. I love these. Trevor's playing these like long, drawn out notes in that part, and while again that high speed space, Cotter basically similar kind of pocket and driving groove that he played in Salt. But Trevor, again, just blowing me away with these very like upfront and lead lines, which is good. Neil, you got thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about kind of Trevor being able to do more melodically because of the things that Peter is doing underneath, right? Establishes what would be the bass line, so Trevor can expand beyond what the bass line is. The bass line, I say that with finger quotes.
Yep.
It's just, what our ears expect in rock and roll music, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way, right? Peter, in some cases, can establish that simple groove that you expect from the bass line, pairs well with the drums, and then the bass player can go on and do his thing. There are other bands that are famous for this, the Grateful Dead, for example. Yeah, very interesting stuff happening here. 20 minutes of Dustin Hoffman in a set is awesome.
Yeah.
And I just think it should be in all sets. Again, I just want to talk about that segue. High praise coming from Justin, guy who listens to as much Eggy as he does, do segues better than anybody in the business. So appreciate that. That one actually kind of took me by surprise when I listened to it today. I knew it was coming, and I was like, "Whoa!"
The way they executed
it.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't watching, the slider on Nugs. It just, happened while I had my headphones in, and I was like, "Oh boy, that is something." So, love the way this first part unfolds. That's an excellent beginning to a set 2. I will take that every time. Mist, Hoffman, in a well-established jammed Mist, not a kind of lazy attempt at just playing a version of Mist to do it as a set 2 opener, which happens. Good. Absolutely happens.
Then we get middle of the set, Jive 2, Jive Lee, Bob Don, proper width. Let me just say, mid set 2, Jive 2, Lee, hell yeah. This works. Is awesome. Well, but the placement's so good too, because Jive 2 kind of acts as this cool down after, the big energy of the Dustin jam but then it builds up, and so you're not losing energy, and then you get just, what is this, like 10 minutes of Lee that's just like ridiculous. It's again another 10-minute condensed pocket, and again, Lee there's no song, so like a 10-minute Lee is equivalent to like a 15 or 17-minute version of most other songs. So,
or a 22-minute Arrow, yes.
Or a 22-minute Arrow, exactly. But yeah, oh man, it's so good. Let's throw it to you, Justin, for this mid-set action here.
I thought that, after some of the brighter moments in Hoffman, that Jive 2 is a great choice. They were like very comfortable all night long to sit in that patient pocket. And it was about 6 minutes. That little bit goes a long way, kind of instrumental jam, as they went from quiet to loud, from like 5 minutes to 11 minutes. And that's just patience to draw that out over 6 minutes and just see where it goes. And thought Jive Lee was great. Picked up the energy. Again, in my head, I was thinking like, oh, are they gonna go back into Mist and like bookend this? Was thinking
that would have been great.
Was thinking Saints, but I was like over my knowledge of what was possible and what was not possible in the Goose universe.
See, that's the Eggy guy in you.
Well, and the last time they played the ending of Mist was the last show in Vegas. So that's
oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
I was at that show and do not recall.
Yeah, there you go.
And well, to be fair, Justin, nobody focuses on the ending of Mist at all, except for
us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, specifically Ryan and Jive. They care about it more than anybody I've ever met in my life.
I care about it because my friend Jive Goose cares about it.
I feel like we hyperfixate on all of the songs that they don't finish.
I think we hyperfixate on all of the things that they do.
That's the whole point of all
concept
of this.
Of the podcast.
Vibe,
Yes.
I was appreciative, speaking of like nuanced pod things, that we did not get a 3-pack opener, since we know that Peter's aware, and also, I think we're fine. Save the ending to Mist and the ending to Mist and the ending to Mist for our buddy Brian Brinkman and everyone else at Fiddlers in a couple of nights.
Oh yeah, it's coming. They left it unfinished last night, so then on Friday they can play the one full set of just the Mist ending.
And I sure hope so. I hope that happens, just for the laughs, because it's going to be wonderful if it does.
Well, Neil, you had thoughts on this Jive Lee, yes?
Oh, I do. I mean, so I talk about this a lot, but when you're listening kind of passively, you're not at the show, you've got your headphones in, you're re-listening to a show. Every once in a while, a jam just comes and grabs you. And generally that means it's amazing. And that Lee happened. I did the thing where like I'm like, typing, I'm not looking again at Nugs, I'm just looking at my screen. And then I hear something and I'm like, oh shit, like what am I listening to right
Like,
now?
what is this?
Like I didn't
Yeah.
realize how I had gotten there. It's like fully type 2 at this point, so it's completely unclear what song began when this is happening, and that's what Lee does, right? So I immediately like hustle and like I open it up and then like look, and I was like, oh, this is Lee. And then I'm like looking at the timing and I'm like, oh my God, like how did we get here? There is some really cool stuff that happens in the last, I want to say 2.5, 3 minutes
Yeah.
of this, where really some inventive, adventurous improv that they haven't been doing for the last 6 shows. So I think that's important to note here, that in this particular show, you're getting some, well, maybe not 6 shows, but like in the last like 3 or so, like really adventurous stuff
Mhm.
that didn't show up in the second longest jam that they played ever just a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think folks who went to Vegas were lucky. So they got some of this stuff. And this is the thing that they've been doing since February, where they're finding these spaces fast and they're truly excellent, beautiful, exploratory improvisational spaces. And
Yeah.
that happens in this league.
It's amazing. Kev, anything to add here, or you can take us into the
Nah,
Bob Don as well?
I will absolutely take you into the Bob Don as well. Getting the Jive 2 and the Lee. I feel like for a little while there, we were sort of like, they're going to play the triptych again. They're going to play all 3 of these songs, and people were kind of maybe some of us were getting tired of that. So they, kind of shelved. Everybody was like, hey, where's Lee at? So to see it come out and get that kind of treatment last night was really, really cool.
Yeah, and that's 33
Can
shows.
you believe that?
Oh, we lost Kev. I think we lost your headphones. Potentially. But this is the longest gap in Jive Lee history. 33 shows, last played in Pittsburgh in November.
That's crap.
Crazy long gap there.
Sorry, I had a spam call.
Oops. Well, Kev, do you want to take us into the Bob Don? I know you're a big Bob Don guy.
So I absolutely loved it in the moment, and we got the width as well. But my main point about that is I had the balls to put that as my 8-pointer yesterday.
Congrats.
Well done, Kev. Yeah, I actually had a good fantasy night for like the first time all tour. So, yay!
I did horribly.
Justin, on your end, any thoughts on Bob Don and You Spin Me?
Actually, I thought I didn't know that they were going into You Spin Me, so I feel like that was a minute or so of some pretty worthwhile improvisatory space where it's like, oh, I have no idea what we're gonna do. And shout out to my wife Jamie, who I would stake my life on she's never going to listen to this podcast, but she called it. I was like, what is this? I have no idea until they hit the chorus. But she knew. She's 80s song gal. But yeah, it was fun. And it was nice this evening how Whip It was a punch of energy and short. This was exciting because it was improvisatory as they got into it. And then with the encore that we'll get to, all the covers like carried a little weight and like did a little something special. It wasn't just a straight through cover rendition. So that was always welcome. But yeah, great finish to set two.
That's again the beating the dead horse on the no curfew thing. But like, if they had to be off the stage, like you're getting maybe a 8-minute You Spin Me Round and then a 4-minute Love Light, right? And so here you're able to get over 10 minutes of You Spin Me Round, which first of all, this is quickly like zooming up the list of my favorite covers that Goose does.
It's a great cover for them. It's absolutely in their wheelhouse,
especially for this point in the show when you're just going for pure energy and like it's perfect. Peter's synth solo is so good. The way that he used the delay in that, and yeah, I'm a big fan of their cover of this song.
It's Uncy too. It just you
Well, and
spend
that's
5 minutes with Brownie, and all of
Cotter.
a sudden you're
Well,
like,
and
they're just
Cotter
gonna
in
have
this show.
sideways hats and shit.
Yeah.
Like
Well, but
very
you know,
Uncy.
I thought of last night during this, you know, when we talked to Brownie about the Crump Buns show, and you know how he talked about like Cotter, you know, has the instincts, and you know was a big Biscuits fan for a while, and so like for a song like this, like Cotter just goes into that mode, and it's amazing. Like the way that he builds like a disco drop like that is so good.
Yes, Goose has enlisted a Wook and has profited as a result.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep hammering on that point.
Yes,
I mean,
we
this is
are.
it right here. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen without Cotter in the band.
Yeah.
And I think this is a net positive. I'm glad that Jive is not here to add his thoughts that he hates the song. Because
I
he'd
wish
be
he was
wrong.
here.
Does he hate it? We haven't heard from him.
Oh, he would say
night.
like,
I think
like we're crazy and it sucks and all that stuff. And so
I think
we don't need to go down that road.
He's preparing his mountain cave for when he like goes to civilization for a few days this weekend.
Yeah, and then yes, but if they were to have played it at Fiddler's, I'm sure it would have been fantastic. Maybe the best version ever. Yeah,
maybe. And then sorry, then the Love Light encore, Kev, if you want to take us through it, it's like, you know, guitar duels, a little bit of darkness in there, just, you know, 2 guitar Goose, but Goat Love Light, anyone?
Yeah, the mobile catio is being prepared as we speak for his descent down Salida Mountain into the Denver metro area.
Yes.
I thought they ended the show with Love Light. I thought they ended it with the same energy that they opened the show with. I thought it was, you know, Love Light can be a polarizing song, I guess. But I thought it was an excellent bookend to the show. First set, second set, Salt ending with Love Light. Just unmatched energy beginning to end. And I think that Love Light was evident of that.
Amazing. Justin?
I love that high-pitched guitar duel between Rick and Peter early. Like, I don't know if I've missed out on some of the Love Lights. I don't know if that's a routine thing, but that was fun.
Yeah.
And then some darker vibes as it went along. So yeah, just sort of hint on or follow up what I said earlier. Just taking a cover and doing something special with it and making your own is always the move. And since they weren't crunched for time, nice that they did it. But yeah, they really held the crowd's energy throughout the entire show. You know, the quiet moments, like we're not super chompy. It's a little chompy the first couple of tunes. I think just people are excited. People have been afternoon imbibing because they're in Vegas without any responsibilities. But I thought that they held the crowd in the palm of their hand pretty much the whole way. It was great.
Amazing. Thank you. And we always appreciate the locals view. As Rick said before the second set, he was like, any of you from here? Like
at least a couple of us.
Yeah. So I was like, there's at least there are at least 2 people in the crowd who I know are from Vegas.
Right.
Question for, I guess, both of you being there last night from Emily in the chat. Do we think that they have grown out of Brooklyn Bowl in Vegas? I know it's preferable with no curfew, but seems kind of small for them.
I will say that we don't have a great venue here in town because Brooklyn Bowl is about 3,000 capacity. I mean, just like the next logical venue to me might be the old Aladdin Theater at Planet Hollywood. King Giz played a show there several months ago. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but that's like a 6,000 capacity. And King Giz, they even had to like close off the top balcony section. Vegas, love living here. Yeah, it's hot for several months in the summer. Great place to live. Wonderful community away from the strip. But we don't have a great jam band community. So I think Brooklyn Bowl kind of works because it's primarily out-of-town folks who are just visiting to see the music. And we don't have 2,000 jam band fans who are going to come out on a weeknight to see a show. So as long as it works, I'm thankful that it is working, but there is going to be a little bit of a jump up if they want to keep coming here and want to play a bigger venue.
Yeah. They're no Morgan Wallen or whoever the country artist was that was playing last night.
It was Kenny Chesney, man. Come on.
Whatever.
Yeah, the Sphere. Come on. Kenny Chesney. No Shoes Nation, Neil.
Holy shit,
honestly,
Ryan.
I only know that because I follow I only know that because I follow the Sphere on Instagram.
That's incredible, Ryan. Like you just blew my mind. I would like I'm not going to actually forget this moment because we often joke, Justin, you're one of these people as well, with Ryan in group chats about how he knows nothing about music.
I have not listened to a single note
Goose
of Kenny Chesney in my life.
and
I can tell you
Fish,
that.
but you have factoids on Kenny fucking Chesney. I just can't.
It might have been.
It
my
happens.
day.
It
There might have been
Oh.
more flip flops at the Kenny Chesney Sphere show than at the Fish Sphere shows or the Den Company Sphere shows. That's he's got that beach vibe going.
Nice.
They bring sand in for the floor.
Man, I have no idea what we're talking about right now. This
No,
is great.
we're talking about Kenny Chesney. We're rebranding. This is a Kenny Chesney podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm out.
All right. Well,
All right.
without further ado, Kev, we're gonna let you go. Get ready for tonight's show. You guys are in Phoenix, ready for another great one tonight. Justin, thank you so much for being on. Always such a pleasure getting to pod with you, and hopefully they come back to Vegas soon so we can do this again.
Yeah, come on back, Goose. Appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for having me on.
There we go. And of course, again, go check out Vice or Virtue if you like Eggy or Eggy Curious. It's possibly nerdier than us in some aspects, if that's even possible.
I would say more professional.
Definitely more professional. Oh,
Yeah,
100% more
absolutely.
professional.
Yeah.
Quick 15-second plug.
Yes. Do it.
Eggy as a band was nice enough when I asked them when I started the pod to let me include soundboard clips. So I don't do live episodes, but I do edit the hell out of all the episodes that I put out. So if you're Eggy curious and you want to hear what their jamming sounds like, just pick an episode, as long as it's not one of the interview eps with a band member. Like you'll hear some
Well, I
Eggy
mean, you
and
still
you'll get
wanna
a
listen
sense
to
of whether or
those.
not you'll like it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Justin. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow afternoon to recap tonight's show in Phoenix. Tonight is deciding whether everyone should go to Indianapolis.
Will we get
you know?
Mustang Sally?
Will we? Oh, you are in the right city for it.
Yeah.
So anything can happen. Mustang Sally 8-pointer tonight for you, Kev.
Might.
All right.
Well, so we didn't talk about this one thing right before we
Oh,
sign off, but
yes.
like, you know, folks talk about the show before the show. Justin knows about the show before the show. I'm
This is
sure.
the Flagstaff of summer
This is
2024.
yeah. Some bands are very good at the show before the show. Some are not. That's all I'm gonna say.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Enjoy the show in Phoenix tonight, whether you're there or on the couch. Thanks again for listening.
Potent fruiting bodies.